Welcome to Namaste React. This is episode 4, which is Talk is Cheap, Show Me the Code. So basically, why such name? So in the last 3 episodes, we were just building our app, right? We were just igniting our app. But today, right from this episode, we will actually start building a real world app. We will actually start coding in React. All the concepts that we learned in the last episode in laying the foundations, we will use those concepts and build something meaningful today. Okay, so we will write actual code today. So please take down your notebook and a pen. Keep taking down notes of whatsoever you find useful, and let us just start this episode and let us code a lot today. So get ready, buckle up, and please focus and be attentive. One of the important sessions of this series. Let's get started. Now let us just start building a real world application. Let us apply all our knowledge, all the React knowledge into a project, right? Let's build a project. And let me tell you what app I have selected to build over here right now in Namaste React. The first app over here will be a food ordering app. You might have already used a food ordering app, something like Swiggy or Zomato. Like if you are from India, you would obviously know Swiggy and Zomato, right? These are the two most common and most popular food ordering app in India, right? You can order food from here. So we are going to build a app like this. Okay, so if I am on this app, first of all, what is there in this app? And we are going to build such app. We are, everything that I will teach in Namaste React will all be project based learning. Okay, when I say project based learning, we will build a production ready like app, a project, and we will learn all the concepts on the side. Okay, it will be project based learning and you will enjoy a lot when you are going to do this, right? We are going to build this food ordering app. This is the first app we are going to build over here in Namaste React. Are you excited? I am super excited to teach you to build how to build this food ordering app. Okay, so first of all, okay, the first things first, I'll tell you exactly how such apps are built. Okay, using React, and not even using React, how you think about building an app. Suppose if there is a question, right? You have to build a food ordering app. Then how can you build that? What thought process goes behind the scenes? Okay, so what will go into your head when you start building these apps? Everything we will start right from scratch. Are you excited? But first of all, let me just explain you few things, right? Let me just explore this app, right? So over here we see, we have this header over here. We can order food, right? These are the restaurants. If you go into a restaurant, let's go to Cake Bazaar, right? So if I go to Cake Bazaar, there are different type of dishes over here. We can add to cart and so many other stuff, right? You would have probably already used Swiggy or Zomato if you are from India, right? You would have already used any food ordering app, right? So we are going to build such app right now. First of all, let me tell you, my friends, whenever you are asked to build any app, right? So for the first thing as a senior engineer is what you should do is your planning. If your planning is good, code is very easy to write. Did you understand that? So the first thing before building a food ordering app, what we will do is we will just plan. Right? What is needed inside planning? Suppose if you are building a front end application, you need to plan things out, right? The first step for planning is when you are building a React app, right? So the planning is you should exactly know what you are going to build. And then what is the process of building it, right? How it would look. So first of all, in the planning comes a UI design, a layout, a wireframe, a mock, right? A UI mock, how your app should look like. So first of all, we will do that planning. Then we will start writing code for it. Okay, don't just blindly start writing code. So it's like a lot of people, what they do, they feel, okay, we want to make header, they start coding header or something. No, or we want to make these restaurant, they start making these restaurant card and images, putting images and all that stuff. No, you don't do that. First of all, we have to do planning. So let us just plan. Do you have a pen paper with you? Okay, so take down your pen paper and plan along with me. So what we are going to do is, first of all, we don't want to exactly copy things up, right? We just want to build food ordering app, right? So we will build our own food ordering app. Got it? So let's first name our app something, right? Let's name our app as Namaste Food or something. I don't know. Name whatever you wish to, right? Give your app a name. So if you are building Namaste Food, right? If you are building Namaste Food or something, right? So first of all, we will plan that how it should look like. So I have my pen and paper with me. Let me show it to you how my app will look like. Okay. So in the planning phase, always see that how, if you will plan right, you will be easily able to write code. Okay. So that's why we are doing planning. It is very, very important. Don't just blindly writing code. Blindly start writing code. So let us just plan that how our app will look like. Okay. So let's make a basic structure, basic UI for it. Right. So suppose we have this app, right? This is our web page. If I open Namaste Food, how should it look like, right? Suppose this is my web page. So what we will do, we will have a header in our page, right? So let's create a header. It's a very common practice to have a header, right? So I don't know, right? How would a website without a header looks like, right? But let's keep a header, right? And then we will have a logo over here, right? Let's make a logo and put a logo over here, okay? So we will do this planning, because once we have a visual picture in our head that where things will come up, it will be very easy to write code. Okay, take this down as a note. Okay, it's very important. So this is where the logo will be, right? After the logo, right, let us on the right hand side build some links, right? Over here, let's build some links, right? At this place, let's have some links, right? Like home, about us, cart, right? Yes. How can an app exist without a cart, right? A food ordering app. So let's have some links. So suppose there is home, there is about, and suppose there are more items over here, and there is cart also, right? So there we have seen, right? We get some cart kind of thing, right? Which shows how many items are there in the cart. Got it. And then once we have our header, right, we will also build the body of it, right? We will have the body of our app, and after the body, let us also have footer in our app, right? Let's also have some footer in our app where we can have, so in the footer, we can have like copyright things and some links, right? Some links over here. So we will have a footer. Okay. And then in the body, let's have some things, right? What we can have in the body? Let's first of all build a search bar, right? Let's have a search bar also, right? We can search for restaurant, right? Let's build a search bar. This is a search bar and there is a search button over here, right? Kind of, we can build this search bar, right? And then of course, let us have restaurant, right? So restaurant cards. So let us have different cards over here, right? Which shows the restaurants, right? The awesome restaurants which you order food from, right? And then we will have these restaurant cards over here, right? What will these restaurant card have? How will my restaurant cards look like? Let me change the color, right? Suppose this is my restaurant card. So one card will have an image, right? Let's have an image of food. Then we can have a title of food. Then we can have a star rating over here, right? Have you seen? We can have different type of things. And what else can be there in the card? Let's take some example, right? So we have this restaurant card, right? Let's build such restaurant card. It will have a name, it will have star rating. Oh, it can have these cuisines also, right? Chinese, Pan Asian, or maybe in Meghna Foods we have biryani, South Indian, North Indian. These are like cuisines. We can also have like what is the price for two, right? Or how much time will it take to deliver? Cool, right? So we can have all these stuff. Got it? So we can have these filtering, searching, sorting and all that stuff. But for now, let us just stick to building this. Why this UI mock or this planning is required? This is really very important. Now when we will code, if I will say I am building a restaurant card, so you should exactly know that I am building this. If I say I am adding a image to a restaurant card, you should know that I am talking about this image. If I am adding a search container, search bar, you should know exactly where the search bar is. Where is search bar? We have search bar in our body, right? This is the body of the app. Got it? So when we will write code, it will make sense. So the first thing which I will advise you, whatever app you are building, first of all, build this wireframe, build this mock, do planning right. Once you will plan right, it will be very easy for you. Now let us do low level planning, right? How my app will look like, right? So let's talk about different components, right? When I said that, okay, let me write this up. So let's talk about components. What components can my app have, right? So now, once you have seen this wireframe, once you exactly know what you are going to build, then we can discuss about what components can my app have. Got it? So let's try to figure out what all components will my app have. Suppose we have a big one component, right? We have an app component or something. In that, we will have major three components, right? We have divided our app into three pieces: header, body, footer, isn't it? So we will definitely have a header, we will have a footer, and we will have a, in between, we will have body component, isn't it? We can have these three components. Now let us just talk about a little more. What will my header have? What will my header have? It will have a logo component, right? We can have a logo component, isn't it? And after the logo component, what else? What else? We can have a nav item component, right? Nav item. Let's call that as, I don't know what it is called, menu items or, okay, let's call it as nav items, right? On the navigation bar. So let's call that as nav items. Got it? So what nav items? This home, about us, cart, right? These are nav items, right? Now, this was our header. Can we have more things in header? Okay, let it be. For now, let's stick to this, right? After that, we have our body component. What is there in the body component? We have a search bar component, right? Search bar, or you can say search input, whatever, right? Search component, right? Let's keep the name as search only, right? Search bar sounds very fishy, right? Let's call it as search. Okay, so then we will have this cards, right? Restaurant cards, right? So let's have basically we have a whole card container, isn't it? So let's have a component for card container, right? We can directly, it will be very easy for us, right? So we can have a card container, right? It makes sense to keep a card container, right? So we will structure our app like this. This will be a card container, and this card container will have a lot of restaurant cards. Got it? So this is how, if you will plan things right, then it will be very easy for code. So what we'll do, we'll build for search, we will build a restaurant container. Okay, restaurant container. Okay, let's build a restaurant container, and then inside my restaurant container, what will be there? We can have restaurant card, right? Restaurant card. Okay, we can have restaurant card. In the footer, what we can have? What we can have in the footer? We can have a copyright, some disclaimer or something. We can have different type of links, right? We generally see a lot of links, right? We can have address of the company, name of the company, and all that stuff, right? We can have address, contact information or something, contact information. So we can have all that stuff, right? So we have done one level of planning of our app, right? Now we will keep this as a reference, right? And we will start building our app. This is the best, easiest way to start building our app, by doing a proper planning of our app. Are you ready to build it? Now it's the actual time to code, my dear friends. We will slowly start coding these things up in React. Got it? So let's just first of all build this app. Okay. So right now we have title and heading. Let's get rid of it, right? Let's start from scratch. That would be great, isn't it? So let me get rid of everything, right? Let me get rid of everything. First of all, the first things first, I will build the top level component, okay? What should we name that component? We can name that as app component or something. Or let's call that as app layout or something, right? The top level component, right? Where all the app components reside. Got it? So let's call that as app component or app layout component. Okay, let's name it as app layout component, right? What is a component? Remember in the last episode we talked about we will build a functional component. What is a functional component at the end of the day? Just a normal JavaScript function, isn't it? So we will be using arrow functions over here, and I'll build our first component, right? This is our app component. Okay, what is an app component? It's a function that returns some piece of JSX code, isn't it? So basically at the end of the day, it's a big div, right? Kind of like a div, container div where everything will be there, right? Right? So let's return a div over here, right? We can return a div over here, isn't it? We can have a div. Cool. So we can have a div, right? In this div, we will have all the other things, right? It's a big app level div, right? Let's give it a ID or a class. Let's give it a class, right? App, right? It's a app level app layout div, right? In this div, now we will start building our app. What will be the first thing that will come over here, right? Let's build our header first. Okay, let's try to build our header over here first, right? So we have our app. We will over here first of all build our header, right? First of all build our header, then we will build our body, right? And then we will build our footer. Got it? So first of all, let me build our header. How would we build our header? Header will be a new component. Okay, let's create a header component. How do you create a header component? Just keep practicing. You will have to create a lot of components. So remember, component is just a normal JavaScript function which returns some JSX. Got it? So we have this header component. Now what we will do, how we are going to build this? We will have a normal JavaScript function which will return a header. What will my header have? Header will have logo and nav items. Okay, so let's just start building it, right? So we have this, right? So header is a div. Let's give it a class name, right? Let's give it a class name as header, right? Header. Okay, and I am closing this div, right? Not close over here. So we have this div, and in this div we will have a logo, right? A section for logo and then nav items. Let's add it up, right? Let's add it up. We have a div where we will have our logo, right? So where we will have our logo. So inside this div, I'll get a logo, right? I'll add an image. First of all, what will be our logo? We don't have a logo, right? Let's see, right? Let's see if I can get some logo, right? Food app logo designs or something. Design. Got it? So I am searching for food app logo design. Let's use some already built logo, right? So let's use some logo. Do you see something good over here? Something good. Oh my God, I can't see anything good over here. Yep, this looks good, right? Let's use this logo. Looks cool, right? I just love this burger, right? This burger looks good. But it is written company name. So assume that I'm writing Namaste Food over here. And this is just a logo design. So I think it won't have a copyright or something. Anyways, right? The app is not sponsored by Swiggy, Zomato or any company name, right? So it is all meant for tutorial purposes. Got it? I need to give a disclaimer. Okay. So I am using their assets. Okay. So I'm just using it for teaching purposes. Okay. I'm not stealing their logo. Got it? So need to give a disclaimer, right? Otherwise, I don't know, some designer might claim a copyright for me. Got it? So, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my logo in my header, right? This is my header, right? So I will put the logo inside the header in the img tag. src is equals to, right? I'll put this link over here. This is how you write img tag inside JSX, my dear friends. Like a normal HTML, but it's not an HTML. Remember, JSX is not an HTML. Okay, so we have this img src over here. Now we will have another div, and this is our nav items, right? Let's create our nav items. Okay, let's give it a class name as nav items or something, right? Nav items. Okay. And let's also give this a class name, right? Let's give this a class name as logo container or something, right? Let's give this a class name as logo. img tag, let's give it a class name as logo. Got it? And we have our nav items. What is our nav items? Nav items is basically a list of some items, right? So let's create a list. Let's create a unordered list, right? ULLI. Okay, so let's use ULLI, right? And first list item would be, let's call this as home, right? And we can have more, right? Let's have 3 4, right? Let's have about us, and maybe let's have contact us or something, right? Let's have contact us. Let's also have cart, right? Let's have cart. So I'm not, so you can put an icon over here, right? You can put a cart icon, put an img and an icon or something, right? I'm just writing cart over here for now. Got it? So for the sake of simplicity, I'm just writing cart over here. Let us try to see how does it look. We have written a lot of code, right? Let's just see on the browser. So let's go back to our app. Where is our Namaste? Oh my god, okay. Heading component is not. Oh, I have not rendered it, right? So heading component, now over here, heading component is not there. What should I render over here? A question to you, what should I render? You are absolutely right. I will render my app layout, right? App layout is the root level component. Let me just render my root level component. So if I have my app layout, and let's go back. Oh, I don't see anything. I don't see anything over here. And it complains also. Invalid DOM property class. Oh, my bad. So basically what I wrote is, I wrote class over here. It should be class name. See, this is the problem. When I am coming from HTML to JSX, sometimes we forget to use class name instead of class. Got it? But you know, right? It is class name. Why it is not showing anything? Because I have not added anything, right? In this app layout, I want to add my header, isn't it? So let's add my header over here. So now we have this component, right? Let me just scroll this a little down. Okay. So we have this header component over here. How do I put my header component inside my app layout? Let me just close this, right? So how would I put my header component inside app layout? I told you in the last episode, right? What is the ways? There are multiple ways to do this, but for now, the first way is to put header component like this. Isn't it? If I save this file, right? So I have inside my app, we have header component. Let's go to the browser and see if it works. Cool. It's not looking like a header, but yes, things come up right over here. Oh my god, it looks a lot big, right? So let's reduce the size of this logo. Let's put some CSS. Oh my god, I'm really bad at CSS. Okay, so pardon my CSS skills, but let me take a jab at it, right? Let me try to put some CSS to it, right? Where is my... Okay, so we have this header, right? We have this class name header. So first of all, let's bring this logo and this UL side by side. Okay, how would you do that, right? In this header, right? I'll just write dot header CSS, and then I'll write display flex. Okay, let's display flex. Did you say display flex? Yes, display flex will work, right? Yep, cool. We have got these. On the right side, we have this list items, we have this logo. Now let us reduce the size of the logo first, right? It's looking very big, right? So let's reduce the size of the logo. We have this class name logo, right? So let's just reduce the size of the logo, right? Logo, and let's give it a width, right? Let's give it a width of 100px or something, right? I don't know if it will look good. No, 100px, 100p. Okay, I did not even put logo properly. I wrote logo with 100px. The best thing about Parcel is that if you save it, go back to the browser and oh my god, it looks very small. Okay, so Parcel is doing a HMR for us, right? It is quickly refreshing our page also. It becomes, the development experience become faster. So let's make it 200px. How does it look? Okay, now it looks better, isn't it? The logo looks better now, isn't it? It looks better. Now let us just make these list items horizontally, right? Like they are coming vertically as a list. So let's put some CSS onto these nav items. So what was the class name? We have this nav items, and then we have this UL, right? So basically I have to put the CSS on the UL, right? Basically. So I'll do nav items, and then UL, right? So basically in the UL, I will put in some CSS. What CSS will I put? First of all, display flex. Okay, so that they come like this, right? Oh my god, they just overlapped with each other, right? So let's give it some padding, right? So we have to give padding or margin to LIs, right? So LI. So how will I do that, right? I will give my nav items, right? And then UL and then UL's LI, right? So all these LIs. So in this LI, I will just give it some padding, right? Let's give it padding of 10px or something. I don't know. And let's give it margin of 10px. I'll see how it looks. Very bad at CSS. I don't know if it works. Cool. This looks good, but it looks cool, right? I mean, oh ho ho, this looks cool, right? So let's move them on the right side, okay? How will I move them on the right side? So basically, in my nav items, okay, in my header, I think I'll have to give it justify content space between, right? There is something known as space between. In my header, let's give it, right? So justify content or something, right? Justify content space between, right? Space between. Yes. So let's go back. Yep. See, the logo comes on the left side, the items on the right side. Looks good, right? So why are these dots coming in? Let's remove these dots. What was that property? There was some property on UL, right? Some list remove decoration or something. I don't know. List. Yep. List style type. List style type none. Okay. So we'll do list style type none. So it won't put any style to the list. So now those dots which were coming are gone now, right? And so it looks good, right? So it looks good for now. So we have got our header with us. But this header, it's not looking like a header, right? So how will I make it look like a header? Let's give it some border, right? Let's give it some border. 1px solid black, okay? Solid black. Let's see how that looks, right? If I give it a border. Yep. So it looks like a header, isn't it? Cool. So we have our logo over here. We have the navigation bar over here. This navigation bar looks a little stick on the right side, right? So let's give it some padding on the right side, right? Or let's give it some padding over here. Okay. So let's give it some padding right. Or maybe let's give it some padding on the both sides, right? Right and left. So I'll write something like this, 0px and 20px. So basically, what does this mean? Padding top and bottom will be 0. Left and right would be 20px. How would it look? Okay, it did not make any difference, right? I guess. Or did it? Did it make a difference? Inspect over here. Oh, it is not taking. Why? It's not taking in, right? I don't know why. Okay, I did something bad. Okay, I have given nav items. Okay, let's give it to nav items, right? Let's give this to nav items. Let's give a padding to nav items. Okay, not exactly to UL. Okay, so let's see. Okay, it's still not getting affected. Oh my god. Please fix it up, right? See, I told you I'm really bad at CSS. Okay, so this is not Namaste CSS, okay? Just fix it for you. Make it look a little more better, okay? And a little more bigger maybe. They look a little small. We can increase the font size. Let's see if we can increase the font size. Can I increase the font size? Please, it works. Students are seeing me. God, please make this work. Okay, let's give it 14px. Oh my god, this looks 14px. Let's give it something more bigger. But it works, right? Yup, cool, right? This looks better. 24px. Let's give this as 24px, okay? I know it doesn't look very good, but let's stick to it, okay? So we have 24px and we have our app ready with us. We have a logo, we have our navigation bar. We have our header with us. Cool, isn't it? How was it? Right? We wrote some React. How was it? See how easy was it to build this? Isn't it? And we are doing component composition, isn't it? This component is inside this component. This is known as component competition. Let me just close this up. So header is inside my app layout. Got it? And we have got our header rendered onto our page. This was that easy, my dear friends. It was easy, right? I told you, React is very easy. You just have to learn it in a proper way. Now, what we have to build after header? So let us also have a body, right? Just like we have our header over here, let's have a body component like this, right? So let's create a body component over here. It's again a functional component. Let's have a body component. This is again a functional component. It's a normal JavaScript function that returns some piece of JSX. And this JSX, let's create a div over here. And this div, let's give it a class name body, right? Let's give it a class name body. And in this body, we will have what? We will have a lot of restaurant, right? So we will have a div, maybe a restaurant. What did we decide to build? This is a restaurant container kind of, right? Where is the planning? We should build a search bar, right? So it should have a search over here. Div class name search, isn't it? Class name search. This search will have what? Search will have an input bar and a button or something like that, right? So we will build the search bar a little later. First of all, let's build the cart, okay? Let's just write search over here, okay? We will have a search, and then what we can have? Let's have a restaurant. First of all, let's build a restaurant container or something, right? Let's build this class name as restaurant container or something, right? I'm just writing, I'm lazy enough. I'm just writing rest container, okay? So whenever I write res, understand it's restaurant, okay? So restaurant container, and this restaurant container will basically contain a lot of restaurant cards. They will contain a lot of restaurant cards. So, you know, what we will do is, whenever you see a restaurant card, this is, and we will need a lot of restaurant cards, right? So whenever you can take it off, right? So basically what I'm trying to say is you have to make your code modular. Whenever you say that you are repeating a lot of code, suppose there will be a lot of restaurant cards. So let's build a separate component for restaurant cards. Okay, we will build a separate component for restaurant cards. Got it? So here we will have a restaurant card. Got it? So this restaurant card, I will build it as a new component because we will be reusing a lot of, you know why we create a component? Component is just like a function, right? Why do we create functions in the program? So that we can reuse it, right? So similarly, whenever you need a component which can be reused, so always create a component for it. Always create a separate component for it. Okay. So over here, we will have a restaurant card, right? So let's have a restaurant card component. Restaurant card component, right? And let's have a restaurant card component, functional component, right? And this again returns a JSX, some JSX, which is again a div. And let's give it a class name as res card or something. Okay, I'm just following the convention. What will this restaurant card have? What will this restaurant card have? This restaurant card should have what? Right? So this restaurant card should have a image, right? Should have an image. And then what will my restaurant card have? My restaurant card should have a name of the restaurant, name of restaurant. And then we can have a star rating. And then what did we saw? What was there? Star rating, and then we can have cuisines, then we can have ETA, right? Cuisines and time for delivery. Cuisines. Quisines. Sorry, if the spelling is wrong, just please don't thrash me if the spellings are wrong. So cuisines, and then what? Cuisines, sorry, not cuisines. I don't know if it's plural or singular. Sorry, bad at English also. Oh my god. Bad at CSS, bad at English, but good at React, okay, good at JavaScript. Okay, so name of restaurant, star rating, cuisine, and let's also have a delivery time or something, right? Delivery time or something, right? Okay, so we can have in this restaurant card and image or something. So we will build all this, right? For now, let's just have a name of the restaurant or something. To write name of the restaurant, let's use H3, maybe. Let's use H3. For name of restaurant, tell me a good restaurant name. Tell me a good restaurant name. Let's take this. Oh, I love this Meghna Foods. Let's use Meghna Foods, okay? Biryani, right? It's in Kormangla, Bangalore. I have been there. You know, when I used to stay in Bangalore, I have ordered something from here, right? Meghna Foods. Okay. So let's write Meghna Foods. Okay. Meghna Foods. Got it? So we have this restaurant over here. We can have a lot more things over here, right? So, but first of all, let's just go back and see if it works, right? I have written a lot of code already, right? I have misspelled the name. I have written a lot of code. What did we develop? Okay. So we have this body. Body has a search. Body have a restaurant container. Okay. Inside this restaurant container, I should have this new component restaurant card. How will I include this restaurant card component over here? Yes. I will use like this, isn't it? So let me just save this up and see how it looks in the UI. Okay. Let's go back in the UI and we will see Meghna Foods. So we have, oh my god, it does not look like what we were expecting it to look, but it is there, right? So basically, here is our logo container. If you will see in the elements, right, we have ULLI. This is the body, right? So we have got this body, and then search and then restaurant container, right? So body, search and restaurant container. So let's try to put some CSS to make it look good, right? So let's try to put some CSS to make it look good. First of all, in the body, right, let me put a border or something, right? So that we get to know how it looks, right? I don't know. Or maybe let's try to build a card first of all, right? What should we build? Let's build a card, okay? Let's build the Meghna Foods card. Where is our Meghna Foods card? This is res card, right? Let me give it some CSS. Bad at CSS. Res card, okay? So we have a res card, okay? We have a res card. So in this res card, let's give it some width. Width of, let's give it 200px. I don't know how it will look. 200px. Let's give it height, right? Let's give it height. Height is a little longer than that, right? A card is a little longer and a little wide, right? Let's give it 300px. I don't know how it will look. 300px. Let's give it some border, right? Border and shadows, right? 1px solid black. I don't know. I am obsessed with this 1px solid black. Cool. So we have got this restaurant card, right? Oh my god. This is the search container. Let's give it some padding margin also, right? It looks very ugly. Let's give some search bar a little padding margin, right? So in this search bar, what is the name of this class name? Search, right? SERCH. Search with a small s, right? So we have search, SERCH, search, and then let's give it some padding. PADDING, padding of 10px. Let's give it some padding of 10px so that it doesn't look suffocated. Otherwise my search was looking suffocated. So let's have this search, and then we have these restaurant cards. So let's try to build our first restaurant card, okay? Do you see that how am I building? Is there something which you are not understanding? Very basic stuff, right? So now you must be asking that, Akshay, why are you writing CSS like this? Are we not going to study Tailwind? Do you have that problem? Do you have that concern? Wait for a while, my dear friends. I want to showcase you all the ways of writing CSS. Okay. First way is to have written CSS like this. And then, okay, there is one more way to write CSS. What is it? What is it? Glad that I got this thought about CSS, right? One way is to write CSS inline, isn't it? Remember, what do you mean by inline CSS? Remember, in the HTML, we can write something like this, right? Style and style tag, and then in this style attribute, I can pass in my width or something, whatever, like 100px or something like that, right? Let's not put it as 100px, right? It's not a good property, but we can write this, right? And this type of CSS is known as inline styles, right? So how do you write inline styles over here? So now let me show it to you. Suppose if I have to give some style over here to this, right? How do I give an inline style? So over here, suppose if I have this style, right? So you have to remember one thing, that this style attribute over here will not take CSS like how it used to take inside your HTML. No, this is not a proper format. Over here, the styles are given using a JavaScript object. So basically, this style takes a JavaScript object. So basically, let me show it to you. So you have to write style style card. Okay, let me write it down. Style card. Okay, style card, you have to give this object. This is a JavaScript object. And then this object can have CSS properties. Suppose if I have to give some background color to this, right? Background color. Let's give it background color as gray or something, right? I don't know if that gray, oh my god. This gray color exists or not. Or let's give it yellow, right? Let's give it yellow color. Okay, so if I have given a yellow color over here, right, like this, not a semicolon, okay, this is a JavaScript object. So if I have to give this CSS, this is a JavaScript object, my dear friends. Remember, this is a JavaScript object. How do you give this style over here? How do you give a JavaScript object to this style? So first of all, remember what I told you, that if you have to write any JavaScript between JSX, what you need to do? You are absolutely right. We have to write parentheses, right? And then I can give it some JS object. So this style card is the JS object. Let me just save it over here and let me go back to our page. And do you see this? This looks very ugly. I know. You can just say it on my face. It looks ugly. So I'm going to change this yellow first of all. Okay, let's make it gray or something. This is also looking very ugly. Let's give it some light gray. Is there a color light gray? No color like that. So let's give it something. Let's give it, I remember a color code. 0F0F0F, I guess, right? Oh my god, this is, oh sorry, F0F0F0, right? This will be gray, I guess, right? Cool. Yup. I made it right. This looks better. Isn't it? This looks better. Okay, so this is a light gray color. Hex code. Oh, glad I remember it. Right? So you can give style like this. So whenever you give style, you have to give it as a JS object. You know, sometimes it's a very complicated syntax, right? You know, JSX, you know, the beauty of JSX is oh my god. So beauty of JSX is we are writing CSS also in JavaScript. First of all, we are kind of like writing HTML inside JSS. This is like writing CSS inside JSX, right? This is not CSS, but actually JavaScript object, but I'm just saying that, okay? So React basically works in a philosophy that write everything inside your JavaScript file, right? JavaScript is beautiful. Use JavaScript for everything. Okay, so this is how you give inline styles. So inline styles is a not preferred way to write code. Okay, so don't give inline styles. I am just showing you because it is important, right? You should know that how you can also give inline styles. Okay, so sometimes we write like this. You can also write the same thing like this, right? Instead of creating a new variable, some people like to write this also, right? So what basically instead of this style card, so you can just basically directly write an object over here. Okay, so just let that sink in, right? So basically what I have done is this style takes a JavaScript object, and if I have to give it a JavaScript object, what I will do, I will wrap it inside my curly braces. Got it? I will wrap it inside my curly braces. So if you will find the syntax a little complicated, so just understand what it is doing. So basically, see, sometimes, you know, it can look very crazy for the people who are new to React, right? They will feel, what are you doing, Akshay? What are these two curly braces? It looks very ugly syntax. So let me tell you, my dear friends, why we write these two brackets is, the first bracket is telling that there is some piece of JavaScript inside it. And the second JavaScript is a JavaScript object. Got it? So you can write it like this also. It should also work. Let's go back to our browser and see it once. Yep, it works, right? So this is how we give background color as well over here. So this is one form of writing style, right? Inline. Other form is to give a class name and write CSS like this. And there is one more form by using Material UI or Tailwind or other libraries, frameworks out there of CSS. We will study that later. Okay, I will have a separate class for Tailwind CSS. Don't worry, we are going to cover Tailwind in this Namaste React, right? You know, initially I was I was not planning to cover Tailwind in this course, in this web series, but then I thought, okay, let me cover Tailwind also. So later on, I thought that, okay, let me take a class. So there is one separate episode where I will only be covering Tailwind CSS, and I will dive deep into Tailwind CSS. Okay, so wait for that session. Till then, we will write CSS like this, right? Our old good friends, CSS, right? CSS file. Okay, so this is how I will write CSS. So over here, right, let's give it some image, right? Let's give it some image. Let's go back to our Swiggy, right? Let's go to Meghna Food, or maybe let's go back over here. Let me just open image in new tab. Okay, so let me open this image. Let me just copy this, right? Let me just copy this URL. Let me see if it works, right? If I can render that image. src is equals to, let's render this image, right? Let me see if that works, right? And let's give it a alt tag also. Alt is equals to res logo, something like that, right? We have given this image in Meghna Foods. Let's see how it looks. Cool. So we have this Meghna Foods over here, right? But it looks ugly, right? Let us just give this some CSS, right? Let's give this some CSS. Okay, so image class is equals to, class name is res img or res logo. Okay, restaurant logo. Okay, this is restaurant logo. It has just expanded our card, right? Where is our card? Oh my god, this card is like the CSS broke. Okay, so this is res card. So let's give that some CSS. Let's give that as res logo, and let's give it width is 100%. Okay, just fit inside my card, right? And let's give it some padding of like 5px or something. I don't know. Like let's see. Let me write it down. Cool. So we have this image now over here, right? Padding of 5px, right? It went a little outside, isn't it? Let's give it width of maybe 9, like I don't know. How would I do that? Okay, let's give it width of 100% and then margin of 5px, right? Margin, not padding, right? So if I give it margin of 5px, it still does not work. So this doesn't, oh my god, this doesn't look like what I was expecting it to be. Okay, what was the width of this res card? It was 200px, right? Let's give this a width of 190px or something, right? 190px and a margin of 5px all around, so it's like 200px. Cool. This looks good, right? So we have our Meghna Foods with us. We have our Meghna Food with us. Or maybe let's give a padding to the whole container, right? See, Meghna Foods is also sticking over here, right? So instead of giving this padding 5px to this logo, okay, let's give this padding to the whole res card, isn't it? Let's give it padding to the whole res card. Padding to the whole res card. Padding of 10px. Got it? 5px, sorry. 10px will be too much, right? 5px. Cool. So we have 5px. Okay, it became ugly because I did not put the semicolon. Okay, so let's give this. Cool. So we have our restaurant over here, right? And let's give this as 100px, right? 100%, not 190px. That's not a good way. Oh, finally, after a lot of struggle of CSS, I have finally able to render my image properly. And this biryani looks good, right? This biryani looks amazing, right? So this biryani looks amazing. Okay, so this is Meghna Foods. And then over here, what else should we have in this card? Right? What else should we have? So we have our H3 in this, right? Let's create a little more small, right? H4, and then let's also have maybe rating, right? Or maybe cuisines. So cuisines are like biryani, right? Biryani, and then North Indian maybe, right? North Indian cuisines can be something else, right? North Indian or North Indian, and maybe what else cuisine are there? Asian. Okay, I'm just putting it like randomly. So These are my cuisines, right? These are my cuisines. And then we can also have star ratings, right? We can also have star ratings, isn't it? So just like we have cuisines, we can have basically 4.3 stars or something. I don't know. I'm just randomly giving this star 4.3. Did I see 4.3? 4.4. Oh my god. I reduced the rating of Meghna Biryani. Okay, so we have this 4.4 stars for Meghna Foods, right? And we can also give 38 minutes and some price, right? 38 minutes ETA, right? So 38 minutes is the delivery time. 38 minutes. Got it? So let's stick to this, right? So we have this card ready. So we have built a food cart. Isn't it? Do you see things aligning up? Why am I doing all this is because I want to show you how do you create a card. So we have created a food card with us. Isn't it? This looks cool, right? Let's stick to it, right? Basically, I know that it is not looking very beautiful. You can put in a good amount of CSS to make it look beautiful, isn't it? Please do that for you. This is not Namaste CSS and I am really not very good at CSS. I am really, right? I want to teach you the core fundamental basics of React and how you can write code inside React, right? Please use your awesome CSS skills. I know you are very good at CSS. If you are not, just learn it, right? And apply those CSS knowledge over here to make it look beautiful. Okay, but you can make this look beautiful, right? If we put in more efforts, we can make it look beautiful. We can like give this shadow and on hover some properties and like other stuff, right? So we can give it cool stuff, right? So on hover, it creates a border for it, right? So if you hover on it, it creates a border. Can I write that CSS? Let me write it down, right? I am feeling that I am very noob at CSS. Can I write that up? First of all, let me remove. When I hover on it, then give it a border. Okay. So where is it? Where is it? This is the res card, right? We will give this border when we hover on it, right? So how do we write that CSS? I know CSS. This like this, right? Hover, right? So if I have a hover, then give it border. Okay. So let's see if that works. Okay. Cool. So we have created like this, right? Cool. And let's also make our hand icon, right? It's clickable. See, the icon turns to hand, right? The cursor turns to hand. Okay, let's give it a cursor pointer or something. Okay, on hover, just make the cursor pointer. Okay, cursor pointer. Nice, right? Good CSS skills. Oh my god, now this looks cool, right? Now this looks cool. Okay, so oh my god, this is my guilty pleasure. Okay, so first of all, let's have this card, right? So what I want to show you is that you can put in CSS to make it look as beautiful as you wish to. Okay, but first of all, this is how you build a restaurant component. Do you see this? And you know, by slowly composing these components, we can build big apps like this. Did you like it or not? Let's just try to make it look better, right? So, but in this page, will we only have one card? We will have a lot of cards, right? Lot of food cards, right? This is Meghna Foods, right? We can have KFC, we can have McDonald's, we can have different restaurant, right? Kannur Food Point, KFC, and a lot of stuff, right? Kannur Food Kitchen. Are they both different? I don't know if they are different or same, but Kannur Food Point, Kannur Food Kitchen, this is Roti Wala, this is Hotel Empire, right? So we can create a lot of cards. So what I want to say is, over here in the res container, we will not just have one card. We will have a lot of cards, isn't it? So basically, the actually UI will look something like this, isn't it? We can have multiple cards over here, right? If I save it, we can have multiple cards over here. This is how our UI will look like. Right? Let me save it and see it on the screen, how it looks, right? Will it render? Oh my god. Oh, it rendered, but it is not coming in this direction. Let me give some CSS. Oh my god, my bad CSS skills. Let's give some res container, some CSS, right? Let's do a flex and a flex wrap, right? Flex wrap. Okay. Yep. So display flex, and then flex, and then we'll have to do a flex wrap also, right? Over here, flex wrap. How do you give it flex wrap? Flex, flex wrap. Got it, right? Flex wrap. Flex wrap. Okay. Cool. Oh, why did not work? Rest card. Oh, I am giving it to rest card. I should give it to rest container. Sorry, my bad. Where is the rest container? Oh, we don't have any CSS for rest container. My bad. Rest container. Okay. So we have this CSS for rest container. Okay. So rest container, we have the, oh, we have got a restaurant list. We have so many Magna foods. Let's give it some margin, right? Let's give it some margin to each and every card. Let's give it some margin of 5px or something. 5px. How will it look? 5px, or we will reduce it a little if we need. Cool. This looks good, right? Let's stick to it. So we have got a lot of Magna foods, and we have this cool looking CSS also, right? So we hover it just, so you can make it look beautiful, right? You can make it look more beautiful how much ever you wish to. Okay, you can make it look beautiful, my dear friends. So we have a lot of Magna foods over here. So see how easy was it to develop, right? Let's add some more cards to it. Will it look good? So how my page will look like? So if I have these cards, let's add some more cards over here, right? Let's add some more cards. So basically our app looks something like this. Cool, right? We have our food cart. They looks jigglish, right? They are all jiggling. Because I have given this border, right? Border 1px. So that is why they are jiggling. But write some CSS to make it look better. Got it? So this is what I wanted to show you, my dear friends. This is how my app data will look like, right? This is how my app cards will look like. Sorry, not app data. But when I talked about data, so you would say, Akshay, but what good did we do? We are just hard coding things over here, right? We have hard coded this Magna foods. The data won't come like this, right? How do I make my card dynamic? How will I make my card dynamic? This is just hard coded Magna foods. What if I have to create a dynamic card? How can I make? So this card is Magna food. Suppose this card is Magna food, right? If I want to create this next card as KFC, how would I do that? How would I do that? This is the challenge, right? So before moving on to that challenge, I will show you everything, my dear friends. But for now, I want to take a break at this moment. Okay, let's take a break. Meanwhile, I have covered a lot of things over here, right? We have seen how you can build different components. We did a lot of planning. We tried to write logo. We created that logo. We created a card. We created a lot of cards inside this restaurant component. And do you see? Because I did a proper planning, I was able to develop the UI like this, right? We have able to develop the UI like this. We can also have a footer over here now, right? If we wish to, we can also have a footer over here. Isn't it? So please take this down as your homework, or maybe not your homework. Take a pause over here, right? Take a pause over here. Let's take a break. Please do replicate whatever I did, right? Please take a pause. Go back to your app. Try to build till this point whatever we did. And then we will come back, right? And then we will come back and we will see how we can make this card as dynamic. We don't want all Magna foods, right? We want one card to be Magna foods, the other card to be KFC, the other card to be something else. Let us just see how we can do that. Okay, let's take a break. Please pause this video over here and go back, code it up, and then come back to this video and we will see how to make these cards dynamic. And then we will also see a lot more cool things. So please stay tuned in this video. So see you back once again after a short break. Let's catch up. Welcome back, my dear friends. Welcome back. And let us now see how we can make these cards as dynamic. Okay. Now let us see that how we can make these cards dynamic. Suppose this first card is Meghna Foods, how we can make the second card as KFC? Right? How we can, we are reusing this restaurant card. Right? We are using the same restaurant card component for Meghna Foods. How we can use the same restaurant card? How we can use the same restaurant card for KFC? Right? This is the question which is coming to your head. First of all, let me get rid of these cards. So the first restaurant card is of Meghna Foods. Let's make the second restaurant card of KFC. How we can do that? Okay, let me tell you how we can do that. For that, I will introduce you to a new concept which is known as props. Okay, in React, we have something known as props. Props is a short form for properties. Okay, so this is the properties. So properties is something which you can pass to the component. Suppose I want to dynamically pass data to some component. How we can do that? We can pass it as a prop. This is what props is. And let me tell you, my dear friends, don't panic. It's very easy. What is props? Should I tell you what is props? Props is, see, what is this restaurant card? Restaurant card is a functional component. What is functional component at the end of the day? What is functional component at the end of the day? It's just a normal JavaScript function, isn't it, my dear friends? Just a normal JavaScript function. Similarly, props at the end of the day are just normal arguments to a function. Props are just normal arguments to a function, my dear friends. Props are just normal arguments to a function. Okay, so what is props? So basically, it is, when I say I am passing a prop to a component, it is exactly like saying I am passing some arguments to a function. Let me repeat it once again. It's a very small concept. You can fit it in your head. Write it down in your notebook. So passing an argument to a function. So passing a prop to a component is just like passing an argument to a function. Got it? Let me show you how to pass in props. So suppose this Meghna food, right? This Meghna food is hard-coded right now. Suppose I want to make it dynamic, I will pass this Meghna food from here. Okay. Suppose, what if I can pass dynamic data into this prop, right? Suppose I pass the name of the component, right? Restaurant name. Let's call this as res name, right? Restaurant name as Meghna Foods. Okay. Meghna Foods. Okay. And then for the second card, my restaurant name can be different. We can pass in dynamic data to our card. Isn't it? We can pass in dynamic data to our card. Rest name is KFC. Right? So over here the cuisines are, right? Let me pass this rest name and let me pass it cuisine also. Suppose if I have this cuisine, right? Suppose if I have a different cuisine over here, CUISINE, cuisine, right? So you can pass in like this, right? And over here, CUISINE, cuisine, right? Cuisine is equal to, suppose for this cuisine is burger. I don't know. KFC gives you burger, right? Burger and what? And some fast food, right? Fast food. Okay. So we have passed in this dynamic data. Now passing, these are called what? Please note it down in your notebook. These are known as props, properties, right? Passing props to the component. I just don't want to tell you what it is. I want to teach you the lingo also. In the React developer world, we call this as passing props to a component. And what it is at the end of the day? Passing arguments to a function. So what React will do is, React will basically take all these properties, all these props, and it will wrap it inside an object and it will pass over here as props. Okay. So it will pass over here as props. Okay. So this props will be an object now. Okay. And let me just show it to you first of all. Okay. Let me log this props to you, right? So let me log this props to you and let me show it to you. So if I save it, right? If I save it, what will happen is, let me go back to console. You will see two different objects, isn't it? The first object is see this. The first object is Meghna Foods. The second object is KFC. So what React did is, React basically take both of these props, whatever. We can pass in this URL also over here. We can pass in star rating also over here. We can pass whatever we wish to. Okay. So whatever we wish to, I can pass in over here, and React will wrap everything into the props and it will pass in over here. Right? This prop is an object over here. Right? Remember that prop is an object over here. Right? So basically, now suppose I want to use this name and cuisine over here and make this card dynamic. How can I do that? I can read these props, right? So if I read these props, how do I read these props? So this props is now, this props is now a JavaScript object. Suppose I want to use a JavaScript over here. How would I use that? You remember, right? You remember? I told you so many times, we can just wrap it inside these curly braces and we can write any piece of JavaScript over here. So props is just a JavaScript object, right? So I can write something known as props.restName, right? And it will replace it with restaurant name. Got it? So let me save it and show it to you. See this. We have now got dynamic Meghna Foods and this is KFC. Isn't it cool? Isn't it cool? We have got this dynamic data. Let's make this cuisine also dynamic, right? Let's make this cuisine also dynamic. So we can do something like props and props.cuisine, right? Props.cuisine. So if I write props.cuisine over here, so it will give you, see this, Biryani North Indian Asian. This is burger and fast food. Amazing, isn't it? Amazing, isn't it? Right? So what I am trying to say is, when you have to dynamically pass in some data to a component, you pass in as a prop. This is the major learning for today's session. Got it? So note it down. It is very important. All across our React app, we will be using props a lot of times. So please be really good at this concept. Let me tell you a few more things, right? You can just pass any number of props you wish to. You can pass in any number of props you wish to. React will wrap all of them as an object and pass in over here. Let me tell you one more cool thing, Sometimes what some developers do is, they basically, what React is doing is, it is just making an object for all of these props and passing it to this props, right? What some React developers do is, sometimes they write, instead of writing props over here, they destructure it on the fly. This is known as destructuring on the fly, right? So basically, we are passing two arguments. We are just destructuring on the fly. Okay, some cool developers, they do like that, right? So some cool developers, they write it like this. Okay, so they write rest name and cuisine, write this, right? So this is destructuring on the fly. You can do it like this also. So suppose, why am I teaching you all that, right? You will see a lot of times, a lot of people do like this, right? So they will do like this. It is one and the same thing. You are wrapping these inside, React is wrapping this inside a object and it is passing to that function, right? It is passing to that function. So what it is doing is, we are just destructuring on the fly, right? This is not something in React. This is JavaScript, right? This destructuring is JavaScript. If I go back, I will see the same thing, right? Refresh. It is one and the same thing. So basically, let me tell you what we are doing over here, right? A lot of people would be confused, right? So basically, it is just like doing something like this, okay? So basically, it is just like doing something like this. Const this. Now you understand. Now you would understand properly, right? Now you would understand properly. So we can do something like this, right? So React is wrapping all these props into an object, passing it over here, and over here I am destructuring it, right? So sometimes in the React code, when you will see somebody else's code, so some people like to just destructure it on the fly. Okay, so some people write it like this. Okay, this is normal JavaScript. At the end of some people, some React developers feel this is React doing some magic. No, 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 no. React is not doing any magic. This is just plain JavaScript, right? Destructuring of objects, right? So some people write it like this. So let us write it like this only, right? Or let's write it like this. I like this better, right? This is more readable code, isn't it? This is more readable code. Let's write it like this. Later on, we will destructure on the fly also. For now, I am teaching you. You are a beginner. I want to show, I have seen a lot of type of production ready codes, right? I have worked in Paytm, I have worked in Uber, worked in so many React projects. I have been coding in React since 6-7 years, right? So all the developers have their own way of writing code. A lot of people prefer to do this. Some people destructure on the fly. Some people pass differently, right? There are different ways of passing data here and there. So I am just trying to show you everything what you would need. Got it? So this is what I wanted to show you. Okay, so suppose if we had to also pass in, let's pass in these two things also, right? So let's pass in cuisine, right? Just like we passed in cuisine. So we can also pass in, or maybe let me tell you one more way to pass data inside it. And that is an important way of passing data inside the app, right? So generally the data is not like this, right? How does a data come from backend to us? How does a data come from backend to us, right? That's a really important question. How will this restaurant data come from backend to us? It will come in form of a JSON, isn't it? Isn't it? It will come in form of a JSON. It will be a JSON, right? Okay, let me just go to Swiggy and let us see their APIs, right? Let's just try to explore their APIs, right? Isn't it? Let's go to the developer console. Let's see what data they are getting in their APIs. It's very easy, right? Let's go to network tab. Let me refresh the page and see their APIs, okay? I'm clicking on this fetch XSR. Cart, right? This is the cart API. Oh, this is the restaurant list API, right? Let's go preview, right? Yep. So we have this data, right? So this is the data. This data has some... Oh my God. This is the beauty I like, right? So I want to show you the real data, right? How the real data comes over here, right? How does the real data comes? Oh my God. This is, the data is not very simple, right? Data comes like this. It's a very, like a complicated kind of structure over here, right? This data has a cache expiry time. This data has cards, right? If you see, there are 3 types of cards. One card type is carousel. The other card type is carousel. The other card type is see all restaurant. Oh, okay. Do you understand that? This is the carousel data. This is the carousel. This is the see all restaurant. Got it? Do you see that? We have carousel. What is the second carousel? I don't know, but you understood, right? The card type is carousel. This is see all restaurant. If you go and see all restaurant, right? There is data, right? In this data, we have see all. And in this see all, oh my God, we have these cards, right? See these cards, right? So we have this first card. This first card has a data. This is KFC restaurant. Isn't it? This address is KFC restaurant. Oh my God, do you see this? Name is KFC, right? So this is the first restaurant data. This is the first restaurant data, isn't it, my dear friends? Let us just try to see this, right? Let me open this as a new tab, right? Let me open this in a new tab. Yep. So this is the data. So, I have installed a plugin. I know when you will do this in your laptop, right? When you will do this in your laptop, you will open this in a new tab, right? If you will right click and open this in a new tab, it will look very ugly over here, right? The data will look very ugly. So I have a plugin, JSON lint or something, JSON viewer. Okay. Install this plugin. Chrome plugin, okay? JSON viewer, okay? Chrome. Just install this Chrome extension. This makes your JSON looks beautiful. Got it? So take down this name, install this, right? When you will install this, your data will look cool over here like this, right? So you will be able to filter these things out. Okay, so let me collapse it. So do you see? Cards have this carousel. This is how the real data looks like. This is how real data looks like, my friends. Right? So do you see we have different cards? We have carousel, we have see all restaurant. It looks very complicated, right? This type of data. Why would Swiggy have done this? Why did Swiggy send data like this? Are Swiggy's developer fools? No, my dear friends. No, 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 no. They are not fools. They are smart. They are smart. You know, in this Namaste React, I just did not want to teach you just React. I also want to teach you important concepts and important coding styles which are used in the industry. I want to give you all my industry level knowledge. Now, after seeing this API, I have 100% understood why they are doing like this. Let me explain you a very core concept which is used in industry. Okay? Very core concept which is used in industry. What is Swiggy? This concept is known as config driven UI. Okay? Take it down in your notebook, a jargon, a keyword, config driven UI. Whatever I am going to tell you right now will be very helpful for you in your system design interviews, your front end system design interviews. So what Swiggy has done is, it is known as config driven UI. Okay, now let me explain you what is config driven UI. Okay, first of all, let me explain you what is config driven UI. So when you open a Swiggy app, right, these are the offers, right? Grab a 50% off free delivery and pizza treats, something something. These are things, these offers are available to me over here in Bengaluru, right? These offers are available in Bangalore. Suppose if there is some other offer in Kolkata, if there is some other offer, these cards will be different in Delhi, right? And these cards will be different in Mumbai. This carousel will be different in Mumbai. This carousel will be different in Chennai. Right? And maybe suppose in Dehradun, right? I am right now in Dehradun. So in Dehradun, there might be no offers. There might be no carousel. How can you build a UI like that? You have seen, right? Sometimes will you build a different UI application for Delhi and a different website for Bangalore and a different website for Chennai? No, right? Our website is driven by data. This is known as config driven UI. Our website is driven by configs. Right? Suppose if the Delhi has different carousel, right? If Delhi has different carousel, so my backend API, so basically what is config driven UI is basically controlling your UI, how the UI looks like using data, using a config. And where that config comes from? That config comes from backend. Let me explain it to you once again, okay? So the config driven UI means that your UI is basically driven by a config. UI is config driven. That is why we know it as config driven UI. This is the latest practice that every company follows now. You go to Amazon, Flipkart, everyone, right? In the system design interviews, this will be a very important question. You can explain the interviewer like this, right? You can build a config driven UI. All the UI is driven by a config, right? What is that config? This is the config, right? This API, this data is the config. Now suppose there is a carousel, right? So this carousel can have different data. This carousel, this data, right, can be different for Delhi, can be different for Mumbai, can be different for Bangalore. And suppose if there is no carousel, then it won't even show. The UI won't even show this. How cool this is. We can control our UI app. We have written the UI once, and now according to the data which is coming from backend, my UI is getting changed. This is known as config driven UI. This is when I worked in Paytm, when I worked in Uber, I have always built config driven UIs. Right? That is why the data comes like this. right? So if there is carousel data, so we can have carousels. So in our app, we did not plan to have carousels, so let's skip that, right? Let's skip that. So we are basically doing see all restaurant. Okay, so we are doing these restaurant cards. So we have these restaurant cards over here, right? We are concerned about this see all restaurant. See all restaurant is the restaurant information. So my dear friends, I just do not want to teach you React. I want to teach you the important core fundamentals, how these large scale applications work. Our applications needs to be dynamic these days, right? It can work in different countries, different borders, different places, different type of applications, different type of UI. Suppose if you want to show, suppose, right? I'm just taking an example. Suppose if you want to show a red color background in Delhi and a blue color background in Mumbai and a green color background in Kolkata, you can do that too. You have to just send your color over here as a config, and this config will drive our UI. This is known as config driven UI. This information will be very helpful for you in your interviews. Take it down as your notes, okay? Take it down as your notes. I have spent like 15 minutes explaining what is config driven UI because this is really very important, my dear friends. Really very important. This is how big applications are built. Okay, let's get back to building it. So the data in actual world looks like this. It's not very easy, right? It looks very clumsy, right? It's very big, right? Do you see cost for 40,000? Oh, I think it is 400. Oh, yes, see this, right? So it's in INR, so they have written it like in Paisa, right? 40,000, it should be 400, right? Divide by 100. Okay, 400 for 2, right? So basically delivery time is this 36, right? It is not exactly a string. This is 36, right? So got it. And then we have this restaurant. This is the address of this restaurant. This is the locality. This is the parent ID. This is veg. Is this a veg restaurant or not? Remember, there's a filter veg and non-veg. This is how we send data in from backend. You know, a lot of front-end developers feel that why should I be bothered about data? It is the backend job. No, my dear friends. You can't be a senior engineer if you don't know, if you can't discuss that what should come in an API with a backend engineer. A good front-end engineer is a overall good. You are not writing this API. You are not sending this data, but you should exactly know. You can exactly question that why are you sending this data? How should you be sending this data? You should have data of API. You should have knowledge of APIs, knowledge of data. Because UI is powered by data. This is how we build config-driven UIs. Got it? So in any React application, there is a UI layer, right? The layer, right? This UI layer, which we are developing on the front page. And there is a data layer, right? Both of the layer makes an application. UI layer, data layer, right? Both of them together builds a front-end application. Very important to be good at both. A good senior front-end developer is a very good UI layer engineer as well as a data layer engineer. Got it? So UI data in the front end, right? That is what our app is built upon. So this is how a real world data looks like, right? So this is how a card looks like. Let me just copy this data, right? For now. Okay. Let us just use the live data, right? Why should we use dummy data? I was thinking of using dummy data. Why should I use dummy data? Let's use the live data, right? This is the name KFC. Let's take this card, right? Oh my God, where is this card closing? So here is this. Oh my God, this is not, I can't copy this. Okay. Can I copy this? Let me just copy this up, right? Let me just take this card, right? Let me just take this card data. Where is this ending? Where is this ending? Where is this ending? Come on. Oh my God. This is such a big object. Oh my God. Where is this ending? Oh, it ended over here. Yep. It ended over here. And from here, another restaurant started. Got it? From here, another restaurant started. Okay. So let's go back and copy this data. This is how my KFC looks like, right? KFC OBJ, KFC, or maybe res OBJ, right? Res OBJ is equals to this, right? This is how my KFC obj looks like. Where is my res obj? Okay. Right? So this is my restaurant data looks like. Now, this is the data. Suppose if I have to pass all this data over here, will I keep passing it one by one as a prop? Rest name, cuisine, then I will pass delivery time, star rating. No, right? Our head will be messed up, isn't it? So what we can do is we can just pass in like this. Res data, right, is equals to, and now I will pass this restaurant object directly over here. Got it? I can pass my res data directly over here. How will I pass this res obj over here? This res obj is what? It's a JavaScript object, right? How do I pass my JavaScript object like this? I cannot pass like this. This is not JavaScript. This is a string, right? If I pass my res data like this, a lot of people would be thinking, Akshay, you will pass like this. No, this is a string. I don't have to pass string. I have to pass in JavaScript object. How will I pass it? I will pass in like this. Okay. So we have passed in res data is equals to res data, right? So we have passed in res data is equal to res data. Over here we will get props, right? And in the props we will get res data, my dear friends. Okay. Res data. And from res data we can use these data, right? Let us just try to use this. First of all, let me log it and see if it comes or not. Or let me just use it, right? Res data will be an object, right? Res data is this. Where is the res data? This is the res data, right? So I will use res data.data.name. Okay. So res data.data.name. Oh my God, this is very complicated. Res data.name. Res data.data.name. This is cost for 2 and cost for 2 string. Oh ho 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 ho. See this? Oh my God, oh my God. Do you see this? When we already have a cost for 2, why have they written cost for 2 string? Oh my God. Do you see a bug over here? It's not a bug, but it's a bad practice. We have caught a bad practice in Swiggy's API. When we already have this cost for 2, can't we generate this string from this data itself? Why are we sending it as a string once again? It's useless, right? Suppose if I had this, right, I can just append it, right? Why are you sending the same information in 2 different variables? Isn't it, right? We have kind of find a bug, right? Not a bug exactly, but you know why this happens? I'll tell you why this happens. In big companies, right? I am bet, right? One developer would have built this. The another developer would have come and said, oh, where is the cost for 2 string? So the backend had it cost for 2 string. And the another developer started using this. So this is bad code. Okay. This is bad code. Ideally, if I was a backend engineer, I would have not made these 2 strings. I would have just used cost for 2, right? And then I can create this string, right? From this. I'll show you how to create that string, right? It is very easy. So first of all, let's use name. And then let's use cost for 2. And let's use, where is the star rating? Is there a star rating? There would be star rating, right? For sure. What is the name of that key? Star rating, average rating, okay? This is the AVG rating, 3.8 stars, okay? Average rating. Let's write it down, right? Where is my restaurant card? So basically it is res data, right? So res data.name over here, right? And then I will do, cuisine also, right? Cuisine. Do we have cuisine? Yes, cuisines. Okay. Let's copy this. Res data.cuisines. Not cuisine. Okay. Sorry. My bad. Singular, plural. My bad. Singular, plural. Oh, it's a very confusing. I can't pronounce it. Plural. Okay. Yes. Plural. Singular, plural. Sorry. My bad. Oh. See, this, when you have to give it stars, right? So you have to give average rating, right? So you have to give average rating. So you can do something like this also, right? You can write it like this. Res data dot average rating, right? AVG rating over here, right? And then we can have cost for 2, right? This is cost for 2. How can I make cost for 2, right? So this is cost for 2. Let's write cost for 2. Okay. Let's have one more H4 tag for minutes also. So Cost for 2. So now what I will do, this cost for 2 is for 400, 40,000 paise, right? I can just divide it by 100. This is the beauty of JSX, right? You can write any JavaScript calculation inside it. Got it? So now I can just copy this H4 and I can put in some delivery time also, right? Delivery time, and I will write minutes in front of it, right? 36 minutes, right? This is 36 minutes. And let us just go back and see in the UI if the code came in. Oh, res data is not defined. Okay, because over here we have two cards, right? So I have just passed this data in one card, right? Over here we have not passed in this data. Let me get rid of this card first of all. Okay, let me just get rid of that card. Let's go back, refresh the page. Res data is not defined again. What is the issue with it? Res data is not defined. Res data is res data. Oh, this is res obj. My bad, my dear friends. This is res obj. Okay, res obj. And over here also we'll have to pass in res obj. So whatever you will pass, no, over here there will be res data. Yep, another concept to teach you. So whatever you will pass in over here, this key, this res data key will go over here. Okay, and over here you pass in the JavaScript object. This is the JavaScript object. This is the res data key, which will come over here as a prop. So basically this is the prop, res data. This is the argument. This is the object. This is the real data that you are passing. Okay, let me save it. Now it should work. Oh, cost for 2 is not defined. Did I misspell the name? Oh, I did not write res data dot. My bad. Res data dot delivery time. Okay, let me save it. Oh, why is it not working? Yep. Oops. Received nan for children attribute. Cast the value to string. Some issue over here. Cast the value to string. Okay. I understood. So basically what we have to do is, it is res data dot name. Oh, it is painful, right? See, the production level code have a different level of hierarchy of data. Do you see this? Right? The production data is like res data something, right? So it's like that. I have to write data. Oh my god. My bad. See, this is what happens when you work with live data, right? That is why a lot of engineers pull their hairs when they have to work with production API, right? Fingers crossed. Now it should work. Oh my god. Please make it work. Please. Yep. So we have got this cool thing, right? So I know this CSS broke again, right? But we'll fix it. Don't worry. We'll fix the CSS. And this looks very, they came in, this cuisines came in like this, right? It should be comma separated. Why? Because cuisines are array, right? Cuisines are array over here, right? Where is the cuisine? So cuisine over here is an array, right? This array. So if you want to change array, right? So how can I? So let's make it beautiful, right? So how can I change this to comma separated values? You know how do you change it to comma separated values? You have to do array dot join, okay, with comma. Okay, so if you will do this, it will come comma separated. Cool. So if you don't know this, please go ahead and read JavaScript. There is a property on array, right? Array join JavaScript, right? Array join JavaScript, right? This is used to join, see, fire, air, water. If you do that join with comma, right? So it will come with comma. If you'll join with dash, it will come with dash, right? So you can pass in anything. So you do the like that, right? So let's make this card a little big, right? So we have 4 data. This is 400. See, this is 400. See, I was talking about that, right? We can build this, isn't it? We can build this string over there itself. I did not needed these 2 keys. Swiggy's backend developer have sent 2 keys. Not required. They are just randomly sending you 2 keys. Not required, my dear friends. Not required. You can just see this was divided by 400. You can just make this. How would you make this? Rupees. Instead of this 400, this should come, right? This is how you do this. See, I am just showing you how exactly the code is written in these big companies. This is how somebody would have written this code. Swiggy's website is built using React. Somebody would have exactly written like this. This is how we write code in production ready code in the companies. When you will join a company, you will work in a company, you will work on React, you will write code like this. This is how we build things up. See this. You built this, right? Rupee 400 for 2. Right? So this is the string that we have to use. We can modify the CSS to make it look better, right? We can just increase the height of this card first of all. Let me just do that. Restaurant card height, let's make it 350. Let's see if it works. Cool. So this looks good. This looks good, right? It doesn't look very good, but it looks good. Okay, so then let's make this image also dynamic. Okay. Let's make this image also dynamic, right? This image is coming from Meghna Biryani, right? How is this image coming up? Right? This image is coming from REST Cloudinary. Is there a image URL inside this data? Is there a image URL inside this data? Okay. I don't know if there is an image URL. No, I don't see any URL. Image. Is there something img image? I don't know how will this image come in. Where is the data? Is there a image data over here? Let's search for img over here. Img or image or something. Command F img. Okay. So let me just see it. There would definitely be image, right? Otherwise, how would the image came? It will definitely be over here. It will just take time to find that out, right? It will just take time to find that out. Let me just find it out. Yep. So we have this Cloudinary image ID, right? We have this Cloudinary image ID. But this is Cloudinary image ID. How will this ID look like? Let me just open this image in a new tab. Open this image in. Yep. So I think this is the Cloudinary image ID, right? This is the, see, what is this? What is Cloudinary? What is Cloudinary? This is again CSS CDN, my dear friends. All the images are put. When you build a large scale application, you put all your images on the CDN. This is the CDN which Swiggy is using. Swiggy would have used this Cloudinary. rest.cloudinary.com is a CDN. Just like we had CDN inside React, so all the images are hosted on the CDN. Okay, and this would be the Cloudinary image ID, I guess, right? So let me pick up this Cloudinary image ID of some other restaurant and see if it works, right? So let me just search for Cloudinary image ID of some other restaurant. Okay, this is Kannur Food Point, right? Yes. So this is Kannur Food Point. This is Kannur Food Point, right? This is some other restaurant. So let's put Cloudinary image ID of this restaurant over here and see if the image changes. Cool. So we have got another image. So that means the URL is something like this. Okay. The URL is something like this and we have to pass in Cloudinary image ID after this, right? So basically, let me show it to you. This is the CDN URL. So basically over here we have a CDN URL. Right? And then afterwards, I want to append my Cloudinary image ID over here. Right? But will this work like this? No. What is this? This operation, this plus is done in JavaScript, right? How do you do that on the fly? So I will wrap this inside the curly brackets. Do you see how we do that? So basically we did a string concatenation right away. So basically you can write something like this, you can write something like this, logo food. Got it? So you have to do, suppose if you have to write, this is what we are adding two strings. Where we will add, this is JavaScript, right? You can't add two strings like this in JSX. This is JavaScript, so that needs to be in curly braces. If it is only string, you can write it like this. Understood, right? If you did not understand, please replay this video and watch what I did. But basically, this is the Cloudinary image ID. This does not change. This is the URL where the images are hosted. And this Cloudinary image ID is different for different restaurant. Okay? Different Cloudinary image ID for different restaurant. Isn't it? So what we are doing is, for different restaurant, this will change, but the CDN URL remains the same. Okay? CDN URL remains the same. It will be res data, right? Where am I writing? Oh my god, I changed this in header. My bad. Sorry, my dear friend. Sorry. I should do this in restaurant card, right? Let me just copy paste this. Well, that's what I was thinking. Why it is different? My bad. Sorry. I was so busy in coding and teaching you that. Okay, I just changed the smoking burger, our logo. This was our logo, right? I should ideally do over here. So this is the REST Swiggy's API, right? Swiggy's Cloudinary image ID, right? So cool. So I have done REST data dot Cloudinary image ID, right? So we have done this thing, right? Let's go back. Cool. So we have got this KFC image over here, isn't it? We have got this KFC image over here. Amazing, right? Now it is truly dynamic. Now our card has become truly dynamic. Suppose if we take in and instead of this KFC, let us copy the object of some other restaurant, okay? Let's copy this object of some other restaurant. Where is the restaurant? Okay, and let us see. Or maybe let's copy the data of all the restaurant over here, right? Let's copy. In the real world, the cards will come like an array of objects, right? The data will not be like this, right? How will the data be? This data will not be an object for a restaurant, right? This will basically, in real world, the data will be something like this, array of objects. This one object will be for KFC, another object will be for Kannur Food Point, another object will be for some other restaurant, right? The data will be list of objects, and each object represents a restaurant, and it will be a list of objects, right? So real world, the cards will look something like this. Let me just collapse all these cards and let me see if I can copy this data, right? How many cards are there? There are so many cards. Can I copy this data? Right? How many cards are there? Let me just collapse them. Oh my god. Yep. So this is the data. Let me just try to copy paste. Oh my god. Where is this? Okay. So Okay. Fingers crossed. Let me just copy this. I hope this gets copied. Cool. So I have copied this data. Oh my god, my file look ugly. We will fix this. Don't worry. We will clean our code. We are creating a mess over here. So basically, this is the res obj. Now, my restaurant card is what? This res obj has different objects, right? How many objects are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so we have 15 restaurant over here, right? So one restaurant card is res obj, right? This is not a obj now. This is basically a list now, right? This is a res list. Let's call this as rest list, not an object anymore. This is a list, right? This is an array. So this is basically res list. What should I pass over here now? Res list of 0, isn't it? Res list of 0. If I do res list of 0, let's go back and see. So we have KFC. Now do let's res list of 1, right? Let's do res list of 1. Do you see this amazing thing? Automatically our card, restaurant card, isn't this cool? Our restaurant card has become very dynamic now. Very, very dynamic. Amazing stuff, right? Amazing stuff. So this card has become very dynamic now, right? So what I want to show is we can make different restaurant card with different data. See, now I'll show you the cool stuff. Can we do something like this? So I am passing rest list of 0. See this, KFC and Magna Foods, isn't it? And I can just use like this, right? I can create a lot of cards like this, right? And I can just pass in data like this, right? I can just pass in data like this. How cool would it be? Let me just save it over here. If I save this, oh my god, our app looks amazing, isn't it? And it is coming via different data. Do you see this? This is the beauty of writing reusable components. When you build a production ready app, you have to write reusable components. What we did, just because we created a reusable component restaurant card, we were able to pass in dynamic props inside that, right? We were able to pass in dynamic props inside that. Got it? Because we made a reusable card. Important to make reusable cards. Okay? So this is how we render it with dynamic data. Now, let us just clean our code a little, right? I have messed up our code a lot. First of all, let me tell you best practices that we use in the industry. Okay? We should have best practices of writing our code. Okay? We should know the best practices of writing our code. Got it? So let me tell you, let's first of all, it's like code reviewing our code. This is not a good code, right? This is not a good code. Let us optimize our code. Let us clean the mess that I make. I call this as cleaning our mess, right? The core code. I am reviewing my own code. First of all, what I did not like about restaurant card is that this is bad, right? This looks so ugly. Rest data.name, rest data.cuisine, rest data.average rating, rest data for cost for two, rest data delivery time. This is so complicated UI, right? This is not a good practice to write. A good practice, a good way to write this is how to destructure this, right? So to destructure this, a good way to write is something like this, right? So we will destructure this. We will not write rest data.data again and again, okay? So we will from rest data.data, right? Right? And you have to write like this, right? If you don't know what is this is optional chaining, okay? This is optional chaining. Got it? So you have to write like this, okay? And what we will do, we will take out from rest data, we will destructure Cloudinary image ID over here, and then we will destructure name, right? Name. Let's clean our code, okay? Average rating, cuisines, average rating, cuisines. Where is the cuisine? Command C and command V. Cuisines, cost for two, and then delivery time, right? And then delivery time over here, right? So we have got this over here, and now we can get rid of all this thing, right? All this thing. Can we optimize this a little more, right? This looks much better than what it was, right? This looks much better than what it was. This looks much better than what it was. Okay? This is much better than what it was. Isn't it? Can we optimize it a little more? This is still looking ugly. One more important thing. Let's first say, yeah, it looks fine, right? The CSS break. Let's increase the width a little more. Let's increase the height a little more, right? Or let's remove the height. It will automatically take in, right? I guess. Yep, it automatically takes in height. Isn't it? Why to give a fixed height over here, right? Oh, no need. Cool. Right, so we have our cards over here, right? Now, let us now try to refactor our code a lot, right? So first of all, this was looking ugly. This is one thing we have fixed. Now let's fix another thing. This is not a good way, right? All these restaurant card, it's not a good way, right? This writing like this, we don't even know. We are repeating this ourselves. What we can do is, can we loop over this array and create these restaurant card one by one? Can we loop over this array and create this restaurant card one by one? Okay, so let me show it to you how to do this dynamically. There are 15 restaurants which are coming over here in the data. What if there were 20? What if there were 30? What if there were 100? What if there were, you don't know the count? So you have to loop over this array and create a card for each array, right? How do I loop over this data and create this whole cards dynamically? These are hard coded, right? How do I loop over this restaurant list? Let me show it to you, my dear friends. For that, I will use JavaScript map function. How do I write JavaScript? First of all, I write JavaScript using curly braces. I will use the array method map over here to do that. Now you can ask me, Akshay, can I use a for loop? Yes, you can use a for loop as well over here. But instead of a for loop, for I loop, right? For I is equals to 0, I is less than array.length. Not going to do that. A good way, a best practice you will find all across React projects is to use functional programming, is to use map, filter and reduce. Okay, if you don't know what is map, filter and reduce, JavaScript, basics of JavaScript was the prerequisite of this course. But if you don't know that, don't worry, go to YouTube, search for map, filter, reduce, right? Map, filter, reduce, and go to see, this is my video, right? Go watch this video. I have created a map, filter, reduce video in Namaste JavaScript. Okay, so please watch this video over here, right? Please watch this video. It has 16k likes. Okay, and please make sure to like this and subscribe to my channel. Okay, so please, yes, you might be thinking Akshay is doing its promotion. Yes, I am doing my promotion. Okay, so watch map, filter and reduce video if you don't know what is map, filter and reduce. Now I am going to use the map function. How do you use the map function? It's like restlist.map, and then this map function basically takes, this is an array, right? This rest list is an array, isn't it? So it will loop over all of these restaurants. So for each restaurant, right, we have to return a restaurant card. Okay, so what am I doing is, I am returning a restaurant card for each restaurant. Got it? How do I return a restaurant card? This is my restaurant card. And now I want to dynamically pass in data into this. How will I pass this restaurant data? I will just copy this restaurant data. And what was the key over here? Key was rest data, right? So over here I will pass my rest data as my restaurant. Does this make sense or not? So this is how, just take a moment to see this. I am doing a rest list of map. For each restaurant, I am just rendering a restaurant card. How cool this is, right? This one line, this is the beauty of JSX. First of all, let me see if it works or not. I am just see this. It works, right? Now it works for all the 15 restaurants over here. It just rendered all the 15 restaurants over here. Isn't it? How beautiful my app looks. My app looks beautiful, isn't it? My app just looks beautiful. It is beautiful by dynamic data. We have built a reusable restaurant card component. And we are using the same restaurant card component for each of these. And we are just changing the data. We have built the config driven UI. Right? This is a config driven UI, my dear friends. The data changes, the number of restaurants changes. Suppose if tomorrow in the restaurant list, there are only 5 restaurants which are coming up. Right? Suppose we removed some restaurant over here, right? Suppose some restaurants are removed, so there will be less restaurant now. We don't have to worry about the number of restaurants. We are looping over the data. How much ever data we get, it will automatically work. These two lines are powerful, my dear friends. Read this code properly. Pause this video over here. Read this code properly. What am I doing over here? Inside my REST container, I have looped over my REST list and I am doing a dot map. For each restaurant, I am returning a piece of JSX. Right? This is a function, right? This is a function. It is returning some piece of JSX. This is basically returning a piece of JSX over here. Right? So this is how you render dynamic data over here. Please try it out yourself. You will be amazed. And we will be doing this a lot. So be familiar. Be really good at map, filter and reduce. You will use map a lot of times. A lot of times while building React applications. Lot of times. Right? It is like our bread and butter. Just like functional component, we are using it a lot. Just similarly, you have to put in, right? And a lot of developers who are coming from different frameworks, different libraries, right? They mess up their head. They feel, what are we doing? We have kind of mixed JavaScript, right? This map is JavaScript and we have mixed HTML and JavaScript over here, right? Kind of like this is, some people think that this is HTML, right? This is JSX, kind of like HTML. So we have mixed our markup along with the logic. This is the beauty of React. When React was built, it was built with a fundamental that in JavaScript only, we will kind of build our markup as well as logic. Earlier, we used to have our HTML file different for markup and different JavaScript files for logic. Now we can run loops in JSX, right? Inside our JavaScript file, and we can put in markup, pass in class names, div, ID, properties, h1 tag, everything we can do in the same place. This is how beautiful JavaScript is. This is how beautiful JSX is. This is how beautiful React is. Okay, please note this down. We will do this a lot of times, and we have built a basic dynamic cards over here. Got it? There is one error in the console. Let's talk about this console error. Now, it says that each child in the list should have a unique key property. What is this warning? Developers are very good at ignoring warning, right? Let's ignore it. It's not an error. It's a warning. Let's ignore it. No, you don't have to ignore any warning. It's an important warning which React is giving it to you. React is giving you a warning that each child in this list should have a unique key property. It should have a unique key property. Okay, so what does it mean? What does it mean to have a unique key property? Okay, so what does it mean to you have a unique key property? I'll tell it to you. So unique key property means that each of these list items should be uniquely represented. Okay, so each of this item should have a key over here, right? Whenever you are looping onto anything, any list, you have to give a key over here, right? You have to give a key property. Now, this key is a reserved word. It's meant to be like this, key, and you have to pass in a unique ID over here. What is a unique ID? For each restaurant, we have to pass in a restaurant ID or something, right? So in our data, we have a restaurant ID, right? See this, restdata.data.id. So we will pass in this restaurant ID as the key over here, right? So we will pass in restaurant.data.id, right? So this should work, right? Now if I go back, see, there is no error in the console. Got it? So always make a habit whenever you are doing a dot map, whenever you are looping onto anything, you have to always give a key over here. You always have to give a key. Note this down in your notebook. It is very, very, very important. You have to give a key. Why? Let's be curious to ask why, right? I'll tell you why we use the key. Okay? Let me tell you why we use the key. For that, I will need to have my notebook and pen with me, and I will talk about React now, right? React, right? And I will talk about why we need keys, right? It's a very important concept in keys. You know, when we loop over a lot of things, so suppose we have an HTML, right? We have a HTML and it has a lot of children. Suppose if we have a root element, right? So suppose this is a container. This was a card container, right? This was a card container. Now we have different children inside it. These children are what? Restaurant cards, right? Restaurant cards, right? Restaurant cards. So what happens is React optimizes its render cycles. Okay, it is very tough to explain you right now. You will understand these concepts, like what is rendering, what is re-rendering, what is render cycle. You will understand this, but for now just keep in your head when there are components at the same level. Okay, these are same level components. These are components that we looped in, right? So what happens? These components need to have unique IDs, right? These components need to have, suppose if we have ID1, ID2, ID3, they should be uniquely represented. Why? Why they should be uniquely represented? Because suppose if there is a new restaurant which came in, right? There are 4 restaurants. Suppose there is a new restaurant that came in and it came in at the first place. Okay, there is a new restaurant RC. This came in at the first place, right? So what will happen is my DOM will have to insert, right? React will have to insert a new restaurant component on the first place, isn't it? So what am I trying to say is, let's go back to the HTML of this, right? So what React will have to do, see, there are so many REST card, right? Suppose if there is a new REST card which has come up on the first place. So what React will do is, if you don't give an ID, right, React will not know, right? React will not know that, okay, I'll tell you, right? Suppose if there were no IDs, okay? Let's take an example if there were no IDs. There are no IDs right now. And a new restaurant card came in, right? A new restaurant card came in. What will React do is, React will re-render all these restaurant cards. Because React does not know, right, which restaurant card is new. React cannot uniquely identify these restaurant cards. React will re-render all these 15 restaurants, right? So suppose if there is one more restaurant card added, let me repeat it once again. If there is one more restaurant card added to this REST container, right? So React does not know, right, at what place we need to put that restaurant card. Whether it has come in at the first place, it has come in at the second place, at the third place, right? Over here, the restaurant card came in at the first place. It is possible that one more restaurant card came in at this place, or a restaurant card came in at this place, right? So what React does is, basically React removes, React just cleans the container and re-renders all the 15 cards. Okay, so suppose if there is a new card which comes up in between, right? Suppose if there is a new card after Kannur Food Point, right? Over here, in between these two, one card has to be added. So React will re-render all these cards. Because React does not know that which is the new card which is added. It will treat all the restaurant card as same. But if you give each of them a unique ID, then React will, suppose if we give them a unique ID, ID1, ID2, ID3, ID4, right? And a new restaurant came in with ID XYZ, right? Whatever ID. But it is unique. So now React exactly knows that ID1, ID2, ID3, ID4 were already there. The new element has come up in the first place as ID XYZ. So it will just render one restaurant over here. It will not render all of these 15 restaurants. This is a huge optimization while you are writing code. Suppose if you are building infinite scroll, or suppose if you are building a restaurant list where there are hundreds of restaurants on the page. Think about every time the React re-renders, it will render all the 100 components. It's a bad thing, right? So we need to uniquely identify each and every loop items or each and every list item. This is a list item which will be iterated, right? So whenever you are doing something on loop, whenever you are writing a map, make a habit to add a key over here. And this key should be unique. This key should be unique. If you don't give a unique key, React will throw error over here once again. It will throw a warning or an error. It will throw a warning over here once again. Got it? So keys are very important. Never forget it. Okay. I have said so many times that you will never forget it, but make it a habit. Whenever you do a map, you have to write a key over here. Okay. So one more thing. Now when I'm talking about keys, right? This was very important because you react uniquely. You know, it takes a big performance hit if you don't write keys. You know, a lot of React developer write key, but they don't know why we write it, right? This is the real reason. This is the real reason, right? React does not uniquely identify that element. That's why it re-renders everything inside the container. It will re-render everything, all these restaurant card once again. Because for React, this restaurant card is same, right? All these restaurant cards are same, right? So you need a key property, right? Over here to identify it uniquely. Got it? So this is how we do that. And now let me tell you one more thing, right? Some people also use indexes as the key, right? So whenever you are doing a map, right? Map or any for loop, there is an index, right? Like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, which keeps on updating. And this index is the second property of this map, right? This is index, right? So this index will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 for each and every element. And some people say that, okay, we can use index as the key also, right? You can use index as the key also. Over here, you can use index as the key, right? Because every time we will loop in, so the first restaurant card will have this key as 0. The second restaurant card will have the key as 1. The third restaurant card has key as 2, right? So this is how our index will work. This is how our key will increase. This logically looks right? Because every time there is a unique key for each and every restaurant card. But my dear friends, React itself says that never use indexes as the keys. Take it down in your notebook as a note. React itself says that React's official documentation. You know, a lot of people don't know about this, right? And you say React index as keys, bad practice. Go to official documentation, practice. There is official yes. Over here, right? List and keys. Go to this URL, list and keys, right? It says that we do not, this is react.org, right? Official website of React. We don't recommend using indexes for keys, right? If the order or items might change, right? Read this article. This is amazing article. Which explain that index as a key is an anti-pattern. I want all my students to be very curious about every small thing. Why you can't use index as a key? Why you should have a key at the first place? These questions are very important for your interviews. This differentiates a senior developer with a junior developer or an intern, right? A senior developer knows inner level deep concepts, right? So you should never use an index as a key. Or you can use, see, it won't complain, I guess, right? If you will use index as a key, it will work fine. See, this is working fine if I am using index as a key. It's okay to use index as a key. But it's not recommended. It's not recommended to use index as a key. Sometimes, right now we have restaurant.data.id as a unique ID. Sometimes we get stuck into a place where we do not have any unique ID over here. If you don't have a unique ID for each of these resto cards, suppose if this data did not had this ID, right? Right now we have this ID. So if your data in the production app does not have an ID, ask your backend to send an ID, right? Because it's very important. But again, like for the sake of argument, if there is no unique ID, you can use indexes as an ID, but it's not recommended, right? Not using key. So basically what I'm trying to say is, see, not using key, right? Keys, right? Not using keys is kind of not acceptable. Okay, not acceptable. Okay, so you always have to use key, right? Not using key is less than using index as key, right? And then the best thing is to use unique ID. Got it? So I have explained you in a meme language. So unique key is the best. And then if you don't have a unique ID, right? Unique key is the best, right? This is the best practice. This is what I wanted to tell you, right? So unique key is greater than index as a key, right? If you don't have a unique key, then use index. At least use index if you don't have any unique key. This is what I'm trying to say. Use this as a last resort, right? Index as a key is a last resort. Okay? And it is better than using not key, right? Not putting key is like not acceptable. Put indexes as a key, and it's far better if you use a unique ID as a key. Got it? So this is what I wanted to talk about these keys. This is what I wanted to talk about these card components. And this is what I wanted to talk about how you can map things up over here. Got it? So this was I wanted to showcase in this episode. This was how you can start building your app. And you have to first of all do planning. Then you have to slowly code things up. This is how you build a restaurant card, right? We have built a lot of components today. Did you see? Did you enjoy today's session? We built a lot of components. We passed in props. We saw what is key. We did a lot of things today. We saw how we can pass in dynamic data, how we can pass in props, what are keys, what are props, what are functional components, how we can render different components, how the UI looks like, what are different ways to put in CSS onto our components and UI. We have seen a lot of things. Please, my dear friends, after this episode, this was the last thing I wanted to cover in this episode. After this episode, please, I request you to go back and please code everything down for you, right? Code everything down for you and please practice it a lot. These things are really very important. Without practice, no use of learning React. Okay, please build this for yourself. See, we have also seen what is config-driven UI. Lots of things we have covered in today's session. Lots of amazing things. Keep taking down notes. These all things will be very important in your interviews. Very important when you build large-scale applications. Okay, this is in just one episode, we built a lot of things, isn't it? In the next episode, we are going to see how we can dynamically get data over here, right? We will fetch data from an API. We won't be using hard-coded data. Right now, we had hard-coded data over here, right? We'll see how we can fetch data, right? We will build a large-scale production-ready application just like how you build in companies, okay? So stay tuned. This was episode number 4, Talk is cheap, show me the code. And I showed you the code in this, right? We built a lot of components today. Please go practice and see you in the next episode.